Welcome back to the Fairway Performance Podcast. My name is Sean Dykoff and I'm the host of this show. And my goal for this show is to help you improve your greatest asset on the golf course, which is, of course, your body. It's the thing that you take with you 100% of the rounds you will ever play in your whole life. And it is the biggest stone which is left unturned for most golfers, in my opinion. Now, on today's episode, we're going to cover off on 3 training mistakes that I see golfers make and how they can how they can progress towards fixing that when it pertains to their swing speed training. Now, the first mistake that I see people make is that they have a weak foundation or they have no foundation at all. And the way that I like to describe this to clients or prospects when we're talking about how they can bring swing speed training or start swing speed training or progressing towards increasing their swing speed is that we need to have a foundation that is like a pyramid. So we want the foundation to be laid really wide and broad and have a really good solid foundation of strength, mobility, unilateral strength, even amounts of strength either side of the body, that is, and just be really strong with lots of muscle mass. So that's going to make us more resilient. We're going to be robust and not get injured when we start and commence our swing speed training. And it's going to lead to greater potential for speed to increase into the future, because what we know with swing speed is it's directly correlated to muscle mass. If we have more muscle mass, we have the potential for more swing speed and more power production, or the potential for that. So what I need from people when they start training with me is we need to build a base. We need to start off with building a foundation. The way we do that is through unilateral training, building strength, building muscle, and building mobility. So strength through range of motion. Now, this could look simple. It can be doing like lunges or bench press with dumbbells. We need to be evening out sides of the body, but we also need to be hitting it with a stimulus, which is going to elicit muscle growth. So we need to be in that hypertrophy set and rep range of the 8 to 12 or even up to 15 reps, and coming within a few reps of failure so that we actually elicit enough stimulus on the body to create an adaptation and a change. Now, that's the first mistake. So not starting off with a really good and solid foundation. What that leads to in the future is starting, too high on the pyramid that I've, just drawn here with my hands. But if we start too high on the pyramid and don't have that base below us, then it means we're starting with the sexy, cool things like the swing speed sticks or different tools and products which are marketed to you really well, and not having a solid foundational base and starting those things is just what I see most people get injured with when they come to me. They're taking a step back to then go and build the foundation after they've already tried and failed with that first approach of just going down the swing speed route with the sticks. The second mistake that I see people make is they're not progressing with their programming. So with exercise, obviously everyone knows that it needs to be progressively, or we need to have linear progression in our training, and we need to be really consistent with it. And I think if most people are honest and look at themselves in the mirror, they will know that they are not always consistent with their training. Very few people actually show up, do the same thing, and try and do a little bit better, a little bit more, a little bit heavier the following week, and progress that over, a 4, 6, 8, 10, 12-week period. It's not until I start to get people and coach them that we actually find that they're not pushing themselves hard enough, or they're pushing themselves too hard and close to injury. And the analogy I like to use for this is to finding the right training stimulus and progression or progression sets and reps that we need to progress with, is we need to use the Goldilocks analogy. Too heavy, too hard, too often is the too hot. So we don't want to be doing that. Too light, too easy, not enough volume is the too cold. Like we're not doing enough to elicit response. We want to meet somewhere in the middle where we've got enough volume, we've got enough intensity, we've got enough consistency, so that we're actually going to make some changes within the body so that we can actually build the muscle, the mobility, the strength, and then obviously into the future, the speed and the power that we're trying to gain. That's the second one. The third element is not knowing what they need to work on in order to actually move the needle. So this is a little different to the first two that I've talked about. And if someone's already worked in the first couple of phases, like the foundational and the strength, and they do need to work on the swing speed, then awesome. Like, you know what you need to work on. You've done the mobility work, you've done the foundation building, you've got enough muscle mass, and it's literally the fact that you haven't done any explosive or overspeed work that you need to go down that route and start working on that. That's great. For most people, though, they're not at that point where they need to start working on that. That will just lead to injury. They need to go back and they need to work on building muscle first. We need to look at what training have you done in the past? What are you currently doing? And then what's going to elicit the best response or best adaptation from the stimulus that we impose on the body in order to improve, whatever it is that we're looking for to then lead to more swing speed. So what I would say to that is take a good look back at all the training that you've done. So have you done lots of weightlifting before? Have you done lots of unilateral work? Have you done lots of strength-based stuff, which is bilateral using a barbell or other implements, which uses both sides of the body at the same time and together? Have you done lots of work where it's in the 8 to 12 rep range? Have you done lots of work where it's in the 5 to 7 or 3 to 5 rep range where you're going heavier? Like, what is it that you've done before to lead you to where you are? And then what other training stimuluses can we use that have, the things that I've talked about previously on this episode to obviously get us towards, building the speed and power. More often than not, with golfers in particular, because we go and we swing a club really fast and we're going to the course and, we're regularly swinging pretty quickly with a light object, the speed work is actually not the lowest hanging fruit. That's the actual bit where you would actually have to go and put more volume and sets and reps into it and work harder at that, because it's the thing that you're doing the most consistently. If you're getting 2 rounds in a week or 1 round in a week and a range session or a simulator session or something like this, then you probably are doing enough in order to keep the swing speed there, or even be increasing it if you put some more effort and intensity into it. The thing that's the lowest hanging fruit for you is building muscle mobility, unilateral strength, and then just overall bilateral strength as well, because that's the thing that's going to move the needle the most. The thing we have to think about, and I used this as an example literally just a few minutes ago on a call with a potential client, is if we had Manny Pacquiao fighting against Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, if he got one punch on Manny Pacquiao, would absolutely kill him because he is a different weight category. So what we know about sports is they have different weight categories for people with more muscle mass, because they have the potential to produce a lot more force or power and speed. So we can't have them fighting in the same divisions. What golfers are lacking is the fact that if they gain some muscle mass, then they could potentially be swinging that club much faster. Anyway, tiny bit of a ranty bit at the end there, but hopefully it got across the point of those 3 things. So the 3 big mistakes that golfers make. The first is that they've got a weak foundation. So make sure that you're building a good solid foundation of strength, mobility, muscle mass building, and consistency. Then you can look to the programming and how you're going to progress or have some linear progression throughout your programming in order to continue to build upon it and make it just incrementally harder as you progress along. That's what linear progression is. And then work on what you need to work on. Work out what you need to work on. So when I say that, I just mean, have you done, sit down and take a list of a note of what you've done in the past. Like, have you done lots of swing speed work? Because then it's a lot of gym work that's going to work. Have you done a lot of gym work but never done any overload or plyometric or even contrast training? Then go do that stuff, because whatever you haven't done the most of is going to be the lowest hanging fruit for you to then get the most out of, get the most gains out of, to then go and put into building speed and power for your swing. So I really hope that, this short episode has helped. I'm trying to keep these really short now so that obviously it's like pretty punchy and to the point and giving you some actionable stuff that you can actually go away and take away and implement into your own training, or strategies and ways that you can think about how to implement this into your own training so that you can actually see a result and a change in your body and obviously your performance on the course. So if you enjoyed this episode, you watched it on YouTube, pretty boring just watching my face on here, but give me a subscribe and a follow on here. Otherwise, if you're listening to this on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, make sure to subscribe or follow along on there so that you get notified of new episodes coming out. And as always, if you have any questions or you want something answered specifically via this medium, me talking about it, you can either email me, Shaun, SHAUN, at fairwayperformance.com, or you can message me over on Instagram, is the most platform I am active on there, which is, my handle is at Shaun, SHAUN.Diakoff, DIACHKOFF. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Until next week, train hard, play well, and I'll speak to you soon.